with rolling hills and roaming cows, in many ways Stroud is the typical Cotswold idyll. And like every other constituency in the county, it currently has a Conservative MP. But on the 4th of July, that could all change, as Labour, Greens, as well as other parties and independents are targeting this beautiful spot in the upcoming election.
The historic market town of Stroud was traditionally Conservative, but has become a Labour-Tory swing seat since 1997. Labour held it for 13 years before the Tories snatched it back in 2010. Labour briefly reclaimed Stroud in 2017 before losing it again in 2019. This time, the Labour candidate Simon Opher is hoping once more to turn Stroud red. But it won't be easy. Debates over the political direction of the Labour Party and their stance on the Gaza-Israel conflict have rocked local politics. In 2022, Labour's Stroud District Council leader was barred from standing as the party's MP candidate. She quit the party and resigned from her position. Since then, 16 of the 20 Labour councillors on the council resigned over the issue, citing concerns about the rightward shift of the party and Keir Starmer's comments about Gaza. We sat down with candidate Simon Opher to hear about why he decided to stand for Labour in the election and what the biggest issues are in his campaign.
My name's Dr. Simon Opher. I'm actually a GP in Dursley, and I've done that job for about 30 years, so I've been around here a long time. I've worked in the NHS all my life, and the last 14 years it's really gone downhill very, very noticeably. And I love the NHS, and I really want to rebuild that. So there were my primary reasons for getting involved. So the biggest local issues really are cost of living, NHS, and also a lot of things in Stroud around the green issues, so that's sustainable energy and the environment. People are very concerned about Gaza, as I am really, and I feel happy now with the Labour position on Gaza. I think that we're calling for a immediate and permanent ceasefire. We need to rebuild Gaza, and also we need a two-state solution. Otherwise, this is just going to keep happening. The first thing is we haven't got enough low-cost and social housing in this area or in the country as well. So we need to prioritise the building of those houses. Now the trouble is developers don't want to build them because they don't make so much profit out of them. So we have to force them to do it. People can't build up a deposit because often they're paying really extortionate rents. So we need to help them with their deposits. We need to give them a mortgage guarantee scheme. And the third thing we need to do is when we have a new development locally, we have to give young local people first dibs on the houses. Yeah, no, I think it's a bit of both really. I think the Tories are extremely unpopular on the door, and that's because, I mean, since I was selected 30th of June 2022, within 12 weeks they'd had 3 prime ministers, God knows how many chancellors. It's been chaos, and faith in politics has been damaged by the Tories. A lot of people on the doors, one of their main responses is, I don't trust any politicians, and that's because the Tories have sort of ripped up their trust, I think. So we've got to build that trust back, and that's going to take a while as well. There's a strong Green vote in the district elections. Stroud is a really green place. I mean, it's the home of Just Stop Oil and the Extinction Rebellion. It's got very radical environmental views, and I love that. And I do recognise that some people have got cheesed off with the direction of the Labour Party and some of the shenanigans around selection, etc. But I do also feel that it's really important that we turn the page really and get on with governing and get power back to Labour politicians so we can make good changes that bring the poor out of poverty. So I would really urge those people to come back on board because many of them actually are my friends who have left as well, and I do feel bad that they have left, and I think we can be a broad church again. We have to back Labour, otherwise as happened in 2019, we will get another Tory because the vote is split. So if you want environmental change and climate, and action against climate change, you do need to vote Labour. And I will take that, and I will make sure that Stroud becomes as green as we possibly can.
Stroud Town is bustling with locals exploring the iconic farmers market and celebrating at the annual Pride event. We asked those enjoying the sunshine what the most important issues are for them in this election.
Having a society that is properly funded, our services that are funded. I think green issues are really, really important.
Poverty, child poverty, transportation links, what else? Community.
The environment, NHS, I think making the tax system fairer so that everyone gets a chance of getting on with life, really.
While some people shared their voting intentions, others said they didn't trust any of the parties or weren't planning on voting at all.
Mr. Nigel Farage, and I believe he's truthful, helpful, and he's the boy to vote for. He's the only one I can trust. The others, no.
None of the parties are going to help us in that because they're all signed up to the elite's agenda, and so I believe we should vote independent.
Yeah, I've ticked many boxes in the past. Many boxes have not got me anywhere. Oh, not just myself, but the situation of the country.
I think we all agree that we have to get the Tories out, but I think no one really knows if Labour will be any better.
Hoping to capitalise on people's frustrations with the major political parties is Green candidate Pete Kennedy.
Yeah, so I'm standing as the Green Party parliamentary candidate because Stroud has always been a very green area, and this time around is really the time that people can vote what they want, and they can vote green because the Labour Party is very obviously going to win this election, both in Stroud and across the country. They're going to win a landslide, a huge landslide. And so whilst a lot of people have always voted tactically in the past, this is really the time that people can actually vote for what they believe in and they can vote green. Yeah, so obviously the Green Party, one of our key issues is always about the environment and is always about climate change, and it's about protecting that sustainable future so that everybody can have a good quality of life, not just now, but for generations to come. But bringing into that, there's also the solutions to the cost of living crisis, to creating good jobs, and just to creating healthier, happier communities. And so that's what the Green Party is about.
What would you say to people who are concerned about actually if I vote Green, I might end up with a Conservative again like we did in 2019?
Yeah, so I understand that that's a very common thing that a lot of people think about and a lot of people worry about, and it's a thing that I talk to very many people about. The Greens did have an increase in the vote last time, but really what happened last time was that the Conservatives won more votes than what they won in the 2017 general elections. It's a completely different election this time from what it was last time. You know, it was a close marginal here last time, but there's been boundary changes in the Stroud constituency, which have removed places like Hardwick, Bisley and Painswick, which are all traditionally Conservative areas. So I just think that Stroud constituency will probably never be a Labour Conservative marginal again. But I'm very, very confident, and I'm saying this to people, you can vote Green this time. It is going to be safe. And really, the contest in Stroud isn't going to be about who comes first, because Labour's going to win it. It's going to be about who comes second place.
Well, how are you hoping to put pressure onto the local Labour Party, and what particular issues would you want to sort of push them to the left on or target them on?
Yeah, so I think the Labour Party here in Stroud is focusing a lot on the environment and on climate. And when you compare what they're doing here in Stroud to what their national campaign is, so Keir Starmer and things, what they're talking about on their campaign, there's very little about the environment and about climate nationally. So we're already showing what happens when we have a strong green presence in a constituency like we do here in Stroud. It forces the other parties to focus on nature, to focus on the environment, to focus on these issues that otherwise will be ignored. There's a big risk that the Labour government is just going to say, sorry, there's no money left. And that's exactly what the Conservatives have been doing for the last 14 years. You know, they said Labour left us with no money, we can't do all these good things. We're now looking at a big risk of an incoming Labour government saying, the Conservatives have left us with no money, we can't do good things. So the Greens are here to say there is the money if you go out and look for it, if you tax wealth. The super wealthy that are causing an awful lot of the environmental damage, that's really what the Greens are focused on, and we can use that money to be able to create this greener, fairer future.
So Labour and Greens are divided on several key issues, including whether Stroud is a sure win for Labour or not. The Tories' Siobhan Bailey, however, is hoping that this red-on-green battle will enable her to slip through the middle and keep Stroud true blue. Other candidates standing in the Stroud race are Jason Philip Hughes for Volt, George James for the Liberal Democrats, Christopher Lester for Reform, and independent Saskia Whitfield.
For now, this beautiful Cotswold seat is up for grabs. We'll find out which candidate has done enough to win it on the 4th of July. I'm Alex Parnham-Cope, signing off from Stroud.